Они нолдити беполинь. Аза я полинь бекволи ме Russia каров.
Raya was 6 years old when World War II began in 1939. A year later, she and her family were among tens of thousands of Jews the Nazis forced into the ghetto in the Polish city of Lodz.
תקופה קצרה, הגרמנים ראו שיותר מדי טוב לנו, עשו מהמקום איפה שהיינו חצי, ואנשים התחילו לקבל כל מיני מחלות, טיפוס, דיזנטריה.
Raya's father understood it was an emergency. He escaped. Once outside, he paid a bribe to have his family released. He then found a Christian family who agreed to take in one child, Raya, saving her life.
באמצע לילה באו, הציעו את אבא, אמא ואת האח הקטן, פרקו אותם.
There was no one to pay to hide the little girl anymore. Raya was just 8 years old, alone and hunted. She would survive for 2 years by herself. First in a pigsty and then in the forest.
והיא שואלת אותי, למה אני גונבת? אז אני מספרת לה את הסיפור כמו כל הזמן. לאוקראינים סיפרתי שהפולנים הרגו את ההורים ואני מפחדת, אין לי הפחד. והיא מסתכלת ושואלת אותי, את לא יודעת שאין כבר מלחמה? אני לא ידעתי.
In 1957, aged 24, Raya migrated to Israel. She went to register as a Holocaust survivor so she could receive compensation.
מה שהיה מגיע לי, לא קיבלתי. האלה שבאו מוקדם, כל הזכויות יש להם. בגלל שאני לא הגעתי בזמן, אני לא קיבלתי כלום.
In Israel, Jews who survived the Nazis do not all receive equal treatment. Survivors who migrated before 1953 receive a monthly allowance, from 500 to 2,500 euros. Those who arrived after 1953 receive less than 1,000 euros per year, and that's only a recent reform.
כשעושים לי תמונה, נו חיוך, אני לא יודעת, אני יודעת לבכות.
לא. אני מקווה שתחייכי היום, שתקבלי את המכשיר, שתשמעי יותר טוב.
Thanks to 2 Israeli charities and 1 French one, Raya and 100 other survivors will receive free hearing aids.
Si elle peut baisser un petit peu la tête, non, tu vois la tête parce qu'elle est un peu trop là.
In Israel, hearing aids are not paid for by the government. They cost around 1,500 euros per ear. It's also time-consuming, but here, everything's done in one place.
We've measured her hearing loss, and now we'll measure her comprehension.
20 minutes later, Raya has a hearing aid in her left ear, where she hears best.
ואז יהיה יותר טוב. שתהיי בריאה.
תודה לכם.
שמחה רבה.
C'est important. It's
important because someone who has hearing problems is someone who's isolated. And if there are people with whom we want to be able to communicate and whose testimony and memory we want to benefit from, it's Holocaust survivors. We have to take care of these people who are old and often alone, as well as in a very precarious economic situation. They don't receive enough help. They're not supported enough here. That's obvious.
The procedure worked. In Israel, 1 in 4 survivors of the Nazi era live below the poverty line. Yet the government says it is funding them. According to Israel's Ministry of Finance, allowances increased by another 10% in 2018. That's still not enough for this Member of Parliament. Elazar Stern, himself the son of survivors, is fighting so that these people whose suffering the government regularly invokes do not suffer also in old age.
We can never do the best, you know. We have to invest and invest and invest. It was a big investment in the last few years, but we still can go forward with them. And also I think that the German government can do more.
Berlin has just announced it's releasing an additional $50 million in funding. But many survivors are now passing away. More than 75 years after World War II, there's not much time left to take care of the few who remain.